The Angels had an opportunity for a surprising sweep in San Francisco, but instead, the bullpen returned, folks. We'll discuss a 13-6 defeat on today's edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast.
You are Locked On Angels Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
That's right, folks. Like I said, the Angels had an opportunity to do something we were not expecting in the Bay Area, in San Francisco, and close out a series sweep. But boy, oh boy, did they fall short. After a nice start, the bullpen turned blowpen returned in a disastrous 9-run fourth inning to help the Angels fall 13-6 in San Francisco. Hello, Halo Nation. Hello, Halo hopefuls, and welcome to the latest edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast, coming at you live on the Locked On Los Angeles YouTube channel and after the fact, both on the channel and wherever you get the Locked On Angels podcast feed. And if you get the Angels podcast feed, the Locked On Angels podcast feed, then you already know what the bullpen is. The Super Halo Bros, the Frisch Bros, John and Mike, they have coined this term for the Angels in 2024, the bullpen. And it's because of games like this. Gosh, I'm really annoyed. I'm going to try to keep it in. I'm going to first shout out the sponsor of today's show. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. FanDuel, make every moment more. Shout out to everybody in here. Shout out to Daniel, as always. He says, yo, can't say happy Sunday, can't say sweep Sunday because the Angels did not do that. Shout out to Jeff as well. He says, at least we won the series. At least we won the series is what he means. He says we'll get swept by the Brewers. There it is. He corrected it. We'll talk about the Brewers in a second. Shout out to Asia in here as well. Appreciate all the support. One more time, I'll say it because I've said it a few times this weekend. Bit of a crazy weekend for me. I hope there's not any noise behind me. If there is, I apologize. For the last time, and I will say it today and only today, and then we will calm down saying this every show, but I am now formally a UCLA student. I had my graduation commencement ceremonies all weekend. Friday, that's why I could not do the postcast on Friday. I had one Saturday morning, one Saturday evening. I was able to sneak a postcast in between both after the great win on Saturday. And then today I had one in the morning. Now there's a bunch of graduation celebrations happening in apartments around me, below me, next to me, even my own apartment to a little bit, to be honest. But I'm here locked in. I was locked on to our Angels. And boy, I picked a really bad game to be locked on for because this one is frustrating. This one is frustrating. On today's show, we will discuss that 4-run ninth inning. And if it meant anything, we'll also discuss the entire bullpen performance as a whole because it was a bullpen game for the Angels today. But we have to start with that disastrous fourth inning from who do you think? I don't even need to say it and you would know. If you didn't watch the game, if you have no idea what happened, you would probably know if there was one reliever that blew things in the fourth inning, who would your first guess be? Who would it be? If you guessed Jose Suarez, you get a bonus point, folks. Yes, Mr. Jose Suarez. I'm tired of the debates at this point about what to do with him. I think it's pretty obvious at this point. Maybe I'm overreacting, but I'm not. Let's be honest, I'm not overreacting. It's time for him to go. And I know this team is not playing anything, but it's time for this guy to go. It's like, at the very least, Angels, if you're not going to put a winning product on the field, at least put a product on the field that does not make your team want to or your fans want to turn the TV off. And at least make a product that requires them to lose for them to turn the TV off. It's gotten to the point where when Jose Suarez steps foot on the diamond, the second he takes the mound. You want to turn off the TV before he even throws a pitch because you know it's going to be a disaster. And that was the case today. That was the case in his start. That I don't know if we're calling it a start or a bullpen game start. Obviously, he did not get the start in this bullpen game. And a guy who's been struggling so far, Ben Joyce did, and he pitched well. Really, most of the bullpen pitched well in a bullpen game because it was 3 guys that gave up all 12 runs. But it all starts with Jose Suarez. It all starts with him. Because I've said it yesterday, I've said it in the past, this team, more than other teams, is a momentum team, an energy team, a vibes team. You know, I don't like doing that, to be honest, saying that. It feels like you could just throw that out blindly about any team, right? There's no stats to back it up. There's no empirical evidence to back it up. I am much more of a, let's look at the numbers. Let's look at what this guy has done historically against this pitcher. Let's look at, baseball savant, percentiles, all that stuff. I don't like just saying vibes and momentum, but this team feels like that for sure. I talked about it yesterday, and I will talk about it today because the Angels started this game up 2-0, and their first bullpen pitcher pitched solid, and then everything just collapsed. Everything just collapsed because, ironically, Jose Suarez comes in, and he actually has a disastrous. Wait, I'm sorry. I think MLB.com is having issues here. Trying to review this Jose Suarez start because maybe it's so bad that he broke it. Here we go. It's fixed now. He comes in and he has a solid 3rd inning. He does. But not really. Solid only in resilience. A leadoff double, then a single from Heliot Ramos, and then he gets kind of a gift. Let's be honest. Luis Rengifo makes a good play, gets Brett Wisely out at 3rd, and it really helps save a run. But even in a 3rd inning where he does not allow any runs, the vibes are just off when he comes in the game, and you just know something is going to go wrong. And ironically, the second he came in this game, the Angels' offense turned off. It's taken me a long time to get to this point, but this is the point I'm getting to. This team is a vibes team. And when the vibes are off, when there's any sense of failure upcoming, this team jumps on it. The same way, the second this team has a couple innings of success, they are able to keep that. They're able to turn things around. We saw it in the 9th inning. But when the vibes are bad, when Jose Suarez comes into the game, surprise, surprise, the offense turns off. And then, of course, the defense, the pitching, is bound to blow up when he's actually on the mound. But he comes out in the 3rd. He survives a leadoff single and double because of a nice play from Luis Rengifo to get the lead runner out, to save what could have been 3 men on, nobody out type of vibe, bases loaded. He gets out of that, survives the 3rd inning. But then he comes into the 4th. And this is what annoys me about Jose Suarez. No one is asking you to strike everybody out. No one is asking you to have a 2 ERA. We know you're not that guy at this point. But when you're a big league pitcher, you get bailed out once. You don't get bailed out twice. A lot of pitchers don't even get bailed out once. But you got bailed out in the 3rd. But he comes back out in the 4th. And it's like, did you not learn anything from the previous inning? 2 guys get on, a double from Wisely, a single from Ramos. Did you not learn anything? You're going against Jorge Soler. We already talked about this in the previous series. Going against guys who are struggling and suddenly reviving their seasons. Corbin Carroll in the Diamondback series. Jorge Soler has been awful for the Giants. But he has another solid day today because you give him gifts early on, bottom of the 4th. Jose Suarez walks Jorge Soler to lead off the inning. I hate leadoff walks so much. And I know it was 1 and 2. I know you had a nice changeup on 1 and 2 that could have been strike 3. But how do you respond with 3 fastballs that aren't close? How do you do that as a big league pitcher that's trying to, survive on a roster? How do you then respond to that by giving up a double to Wilmer Flores, who has been very subpar this year, by throwing 2 pitches outside the zone and hanging a slider? And then you dome a guy. You hit Austin Slater. I say dome, but you hit Austin Slater to load the bases. The trifecta of errors. You walk a guy without making him have to really think. He had a couple had a single foul ball to survive an inning. or not bat, excuse me. But you walk a guy to start an inning, you give up a double to a guy who's been struggling, and then you hit a guy who the Giants don't even want on the roster. They don't even want Austin Slater on the roster, and you hit him to load the bases. I have not even gotten to the point where the Giants score a run, and I already want to blow a fuse. And I know you other Angel fans watching the game want to blow a fuse the second this guy takes the mound, but especially the second he starts actually pitching. And especially after his defense helps him get out of the third, and he comes back out for the fourth and does this. But, of course, with the bases loaded, Thairo Estrada doubles on a 2-1 pitch. He throws a, ironically, not that bad pitch, a sinker down and in, but guess where the target was? Outside. You throw it inside, Estrada rips it down the line. Cole Tucker actually does a nice job playing this one, but 2-run score on a bases loaded double. All right, disappointing. Jose Suarez sucks. Okay. But at least get out of the inning. At least lefty on lefty against Brett Wisely, who has already done damage against you in this game, who already doubled in the previous inning. At least, put up a good at-bat against him, right? No. Throws a slider inside corner. Don't think he meant it to be there. And then he throws the exact same pitch. Almost identical. And so, of course, Wisely, back-to-back innings with the double, back-to-back 2-run doubles in this inning, and it's a 4-run fourth already. And you're thinking, Jose Suarez sucks. He's getting out of the game. The vibes are already ruined. The Angels jumped out to a 2-0 lead, and that's all gone. Here comes in Hunter Strickland, and at this point, I literally said you could flip a coin about what would happen from here. Because Jose Suarez killed the vibes. He killed the 2-0 lead, of course. He killed the vibes, even showing up, even still being on the roster, but then, of course, having the performance he did. Another disastrous performance. And out comes Hunter Strickland. And from there, you can flip a coin. You can say, all right, Hunter Strickland has been very up and down this season, really poor recently. Let's see. Is he going to be a veteran that turns things around in this game? Or is he going to be a veteran that also falls victim to the bad vibes, the bad momentum, the negativity that a team meeting can overcome for a few days, but can't overcome forever? And after we take our first break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast, I will tell you why Hunter Strickland did not overcome the bad momentum, did not overcome the bad vibes, and instead contributed to one of the worst innings I've ever seen by a bullpen. Let's be honest. 9-run fourth. We've already talked about 4 of them. We'll talk about the other 5 in the 4th inning after we take our first break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Now, today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Look, if you don't know by now, summertime, what does it mean? It means baseball, the NBA Finals, and more. And you can bet it all on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's right, $200 you can use to bet everything from the Finals MVP to who's going to hit one out of the park. I've already said it a million times because I actually mean it. All right? I know there's a lot of people that read ads and they don't mean it. I actually mean it. I love betting on sports. I love using fantasy sports platforms. And FanDuel, when it comes to betting on sports, it's the best. It's the best sports book. What is a sports book? It's the lines. They have the best, most fair lines. It's the interface. Is it easy to navigate? Oh, yes, FanDuel is. And it's the promotions. And I just told you that right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. So they check all 3 boxes. Good lines, good interface, and great promotion. So if you want that deal, one more time, $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet, visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and add a big win to your summer bucket list. One more time, FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And today's show is also brought to you by the wonderful people at Prize Picks. Look, I just told you about FanDuel, and that's the place to go if you want to gamble on sports. Of course, if you're in a state where you can gamble on sports, but there's also Prize Picks if you want to do fantasy sports. And boy, I hope you know by now, unless this is your first postcast with me, that I absolutely admire Prize Picks as well. Like literally, FanDuel for sportsbook doesn't get any better. Prize Picks for fantasy sports doesn't get any better. With Prize Picks, you could turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite sports this summer. You can make a Prize Picks lineup in as little as 60 seconds. You just need to pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you're locked in. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the PrizePicks community today. I love PrizePicks. I will talk about my PrizePicks slip later in the show, if I even have time, because I'm just ranting about this disappointing Angels game. But I will talk about my PrizePicks slip because every single day I do a PrizePicks slip. If you want to join me and those 5 million other people that regularly create PrizePicks slips, download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. One more time, the PrizePicks app, use the code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy. You are listening to the Locked On Angels Postcast, coming at you live on the Locked On Los Angeles YouTube channel, after the fact, both on the channel and wherever you get the Locked On Angels podcast feed. I am Gavin Carlson. I seem to forget to mention this a lot of times now because I'm too busy talking about the fact that I just graduated from college this weekend, but I am 4 years into being a credentialed journalist in the LA area. I've written articles, conducted interviews about all your favorite UCLA athletes with the Daily Bruin, and I am now, of course, the Postcast host. And like is the case for most of the times I do Postcasts, the Angels lost. It's becoming a regular thing. It's been a regular thing since before the Postcast started. But I think when I started, they were about 5-6 games under 500. Now they are clearly in the cellar. Even after splitting or going 2 out of 3 in San Francisco, they are still 15 games under 500 at 23-43. And the reason for this 13-6 Sunday matinee loss to the Giants was this 9-run fourth inning. And believe it or not, in one segment, I didn't even get through the entire fourth inning because 9 runs is an awful pitching performance for an entire game, probably worthy of 2 segments. But in one inning, good God, it's bad. We already talked about Jose Suarez and my huge hypothesis theory that does not have any evidence really to back it up other than what you see on the field. And that is that whenever that guy shows up, the vibes in the stadium, in the Angels dugout, get killed. I'm sure they get killed in every Angels household watching the game. And then when he goes out and gives up 4 runs in a matter of seconds in the fourth inning, you see what I mean about the vibes getting killed. And then this is when you really see what I mean. When Hunter Strickland comes in and does the exact same thing. After striking out Heliot Ramos, he gives up a single to Patrick Bailey, gives up a single to Matt Chapman to score a Giants run. And then we have an injury situation. Luis Rengifo, I don't know. I don't want to get into it because I don't want to speculate. I don't know how serious this one is. Obviously, really unfortunate. Probably top 2 or 3 best Angels player in 2024. Someone I think you have to trade at the deadline for something. But Rengifo gets hurt. Guess what that is? More bad vibes. Surprise, surprise. Jose Suarez, whenever he steps on the mound, bad things go on. But Hunter Strickland, we know he's been polarizing. We know that at the beginning of the season, he was lights out, sub 1.7 ERA. We know the ERA has ballooned. After this game, it is now 4.75. 4.75. And it's because those 2 singles were certainly not all that he gave up. We get the injury situation, kind of put a delay in the game. Conforto pops out. You're thinking, okay, Strickland, you gave up a run, but you're more of a veteran and more of an accomplished player than Jose Suarez at this point. You'll get out of it, right? Now you're going against Jorge Soler. We know how subpar he has been for the Giants in 2024, how it's really one of the worst free agent signings of the offseason. But not when you play in the Angels. If you need to turn your season around as a hitter, if you need to turn your season around as a pitcher, just play the Angels. And Jorge Soler gets a 95-mile-an-hour fastball at the letters, and boy, he got all of it. Left center field, 102 exit velo. It only goes 377, but on a pitch that high with that launch angle, it was a moonshot. And Hunter Strickland is not unfamiliar with giving up home runs in that ballpark. Of course, being a former Giant, we know what has happened in his at-bats with Bryce Harper there. At least I do, as someone who grew up in the Bay Area following the Giants as well. But that was brutal. But the vibes continue to be bad. Not only does Suarez kill a 2-run lead, not only does Strickland then add to the struggles, not only is there then an injury to Luis Rengifo, not only do these struggles continue for Hunter Strickland with a 3-run home run from Jorge Soler, But then we get an error by Cole Tucker, who, if you can't field the ball, what are you even doing at this point? Because we know you can't hit Cole Tucker. Cole Tucker gets an error. And then Austin Slater gets a single to score Wilmer Flores. So in a span of one inning, 9 runs, thanks to Jose Suarez being Jose Suarez, Hunter Strickland being the bad version of himself in a ballpark where he's often been a bad version of himself. There's an injury to a key player, and there's a 3-run shot from a guy who hasn't hit anything with a tennis racket in 2024. Talk about bad vibes. Talk about infuriating Angel baseball. So frustrating. The bullpen, other than that, ironically, in a bullpen game, I won't say was that bad. Of course, there were more runs given up. Of course, Fulmer gave up 4 earned runs on 6 hits and a walk, a home run. He wasn't great. We don't even have time to get to his 4 runs because it's 20 minutes in, and we only got through the 9-run 4th inning. But are there any positives for the bullpen point of view? I don't know. Am I being too hard? Or I was wondering coming in, what is a reasonable expectation for a bullpen game for this type of bullpen? Is it 5 runs and hopefully not too many arms are used, and maybe the Angels lose 5-4 or win 6-5, and you keep it moving in a season? Of course, that doesn't really matter in terms of wins. Is a successful bullpen game just the young guys, just a Ben Joyce looking good? Is that enough of a positive? No. When you're trying to win a sweep or enter a sweep, you're a baseball team that gets paid to play baseball. You're not just looking for sympathy performances. I want to at least see you compete. So I don't think saying, hey, Ben Joyce looked good, that's enough of a reason to be happy. No, I need more than that. Of course, shout out to Ben Joyce. Finally had one of his better outings, 2 innings pitched, just 1 hit, did walk a guy, but just 1 hit and 1 walk in 2 innings, 3 strikeouts. The ERA jumps all the way down to 8. And I say all the way because I think it was at like 13 or something before this appearance. So good for him. Hopefully he settles down. But Suarez and Strickland, you're awful. Suarez's ERA is now 8.15. Hunter Strickland, 4.75. Marte looked, obviously pretty darn good. No hits, just that 1 walk and a strikeout in his 2 1/3. And that's what I mean. The vibes get better. The further you distance yourself from Jose Suarez, the vibes get better. Marte does a great job. Now, Fulmer was bad, and Fulmer's ERA now goes to 4.4. But I'm not going to criticize too much when the game is over at that point. And the game did feel over at that point. Let's be honest. It was 9-2. The game felt over. So from there, I'm not even going to really grade things. And that's why when I come back after this last break and talk about the Angels' kind of petty runs in the 9th inning, I'm not going to put too much stock into those as well. I respect the resilience. We will get to that. But the story of this game was the bullpen being the BLOWPEN, and specifically 2 guys. I know Fulmer was just as bad statistically as Hunter Strickland, actually worse in terms of the earned run. But I think at that point, you're down 9-2. The game is over, and those are the 2 culprits. So what's the question of the day? The question is, what do the Angels do with Jose Suarez? Oh, wait, it's already been answered by millions of people in their head. Get rid of him. It's time. Excuse me. It is time. We're going to take our last break here on Locked On Angels Postcast, and when we come back, we'll discuss very briefly that 4-run 9th inning from the Angels. 6 runs is not a bad offensive performance, but when 4 of them are in the 9th inning, when you're already down 13-2, when you've already brought in field players to pitch, I don't know how much stock to put in it. I'll tell you how much I believe should be put into it after our last break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Now, today's show is finally brought to you by Supply House. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks. One more time at supplyhouse.com. We are back here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. I am Gavin Carlson. The Angels fall to the Giants in San Francisco 13-6. The Angels had an opportunity for a shocking sweep, but boy, did they fall short of that in pretty significant fashion. At one point, trailing 13-2. The final score 13-6 because of a huge 4-run ninth inning. I say huge because a 4-run ninth inning is kind of a big deal unless you're looking at this game where 9 runs were scored in the 4th inning. But the Angels did score 4 in the 9th. And how big of a deal was that? We'll get to some of the comments. I see there's a few. Shout out to everybody in here. But real quick, I want to talk about that 4-run 9th. And you tell me what you think. Because at this point, it is a reasonable debate to say how much should we care about 4 runs in the 9th inning of a game when you're down 13-2 coming into the inning, in a game where you've already seen a field player pitch in Luis Guillermo. So you tell me what you think. How much do you care about the fact that the Angels scored 4 runs in the 9th? I mean, to some degree, you got to be excited, but specifically looking at how it happened. I am always going to prioritize the young guys performing, then the veterans that you're trying to trade at the deadline, and then the whatevers. And let's be honest, the first 2 guys to start this rally, Willie Calhoun and Matt Thaiss, are kind of in the whatevers category. I don't think you're trading Willie Calhoun at the deadline for anything much. I certainly don't think you're trading Matt Thaiss at the deadline for anything much. So if that single and double to start the 9th inning against a good pitcher, by the way, in Camilo Doval, I know he has not been lights out for the Giants this year as a closer, but he's still a closer. And there was a bunch of debate on the Angels radio broadcast. Should he even be out there? Oh, they're just getting him in because you got to get the closer in every once in a while, even though it's an 11-run game. Boy, did that backfire because his confidence goes down after giving up 4 runs. But if the single double to start the inning were from, Zach Neto and Nolan Schanuel, I would actually be telling you this is a big deal. I mean, not a big deal. Of course, it's not ever going to be a big deal, but it'd be a bigger deal because it's more confidence for the young guys. Instead, it was Willie Calhoun and Matt Thaiss, 2 guys that are not in either, like I said, either the veteran category that you can trade for, or the young category that you can have hope for. Instead, it's just kind of the nobodies. But nonetheless, single and a double, Calhoun to third, Thaiss to second, and then one of the young guys that certainly there's a lot of stock invested in, and something I'm going to soon bring to the postcast is something I'm going to call the Halo Hopefuls list, where I'm going to rank, in my opinion, the sort of the pecking order of players the Angels should be the most excited about, and we're going to rearrange that every once in a while depending on how the young guys do. But I'll give you a sneak peek. I've got Zach Neto at 2 right now behind Logan O'Hoppe in terms of the young guys to be excited about. I have Neto above Schanuel. I know maybe I'm cheating because Schanuel's having a particularly bad year, but Zach Neto is a guy you want to see get confidence. And of course, second and third, nobody out. In most circumstances, a sac fly is a big W, not when you're down 13-2. But I like the fact that even down 2 runs, even down 11 runs with 2 on and nobody out, the approach is pretty simple from him. First pitch, if I get something I like, I'm going to swing at it, try to hit a fly ball. And that's what he does. Slider, kind of hanging, hits it 107 off the bat, hit it really hard, and hit it pretty far, 339 feet. Just a sac fly. I would have loved to see that be more for him, boost the average a little bit and whatnot, but still, good job. Then Nolan Schanuel walks. Now, don't get me wrong. This is mostly Camilo Doval not being great, throwing all pitches at the knees, only 1 in the zone, but still, more positivity there. The 2 young guys that you care about, Zach Neto and Nolan Schanuel, both do what they're supposed to do. Then Joe Adell certainly does what he's supposed to do. Rips a line drive to left field. Rips one. This is the Joe Adell we want to see, right? And so now I'm thinking, now wait a second. Maybe this useless 9th inning rally means something. Because the first 2 guys are no names, but now we've got 3 straight young guys that there's so much stock invested in getting the job done. And Joe Adell, on a 2-2 pitch, gets a slider that certainly caught too much of the zone, but going against a guy who throws that hard, you easily could be trying to protect against the fastball on 2-2, and instead, he waits on the slider, he pulls it in left field, 106 exit velo, and scores it, gets an RBI. Good job. 13-4 the score now. And suddenly, I'm thinking this is more of a positive inning than I first thought if it was just the older guys doing nothing. Then Cole Tucker gets on base, and I look around and make sure that I'm not dreaming, because it's a miracle whenever Cole Tucker gets on base. No offense. Now, once again, Camilo Doval handed this on base to him with 4 pitches, all below the knees, none of them really close. Cool. Ball 4. And then this was the at-bat that confirmed, okay, this inning means something, because the other young guy that you certainly have a lot of stock in, Michael Stefanik, 2 RBI double with the bases loaded. 2 RBI double. Gets ahead 3-0. Great job. Takes a ball at the knees for strike 1. And then he rips one. A cutter down the middle, and he rips it. Gets a double on a line drive to right field. Shannon scores. Jo Adell scores. And suddenly, yes. Let's be honest, like most of you, I was watching this game going, oh man, they're really doing this to us. They're really scoring runs down 13-2 to make us go, man, what could have been? And certainly at one point, even once after the Stefanik double, you're thinking, wait, 13-6, 6 runs is pretty good. 6 runs should win you a game about 50% of the time, right? So I'm certainly frustrated that none of these runs mattered at all. But in the grand scheme of things, Michael Stefanik double, Jo Adell Michael Stefanik 2-run double, Jo Adell RBI single, Nolan Schanuel walk, Zach Neto sac fly. All solid. All solid from the young guys. Willie Calhoun and Matt Thaiss doing their thing. Even Cole Tucker got on base because miracles exist. Now, of course, that was all they had. 4 runs in the 9th. I mean, you can't really ask any team to score 11, of course. But I'm satisfied with that. I know going into the break, even, I made it sound like I wasn't. But I am. The young guys were the ones that got it done for the most part. And that's why I will be positive about that, at least. But it's hard to be positive about much when you lose 13-6. It's hard to really break the game down pitch by pitch when the game was over from the 4th inning onwards. But where do you go from here? Of course, the Brewers coming up next for the Angels. 15 games under 500. What is the goal? The goal is always just to win the series, and that's what they did. And that's why the question is the series still a success? That's the real question. So in the comments, let me know, is the series still a success? Given you won the series, and a team 15 games under 500 rarely does that. So if you win the series, I say it's still a success. I don't think a 13-6 defeat is enough to override that. We'll quickly look at the comments. I'll quickly tell you my prize pick slip, and we'll get out of here. Jake asking, should the Angels trade for Manny Machado? The Angels should not trade for anybody. They should trade everybody away. Jake asking, would you trade Mike Trout for Jackson Merrill straight up? So back-to-back Padres comments, thinking Jake may be a Padres fan, or maybe he's a SoCal guy that talks about both teams. But would you trade Mike Trout for Jackson Merrill straight up? I'm hoping that's a troll. No, of course not. BC says, yo, shouting out everybody, specifically Daniel, who's always in here. Shout out to Daniel. Shout out to everybody. Jeff, Daniel specifically, that are always in here. BC also in here very often. And Jake, I've been seeing you a lot recently as well. Shout out to all of you. Shout out to everybody listening. I'll quickly end with some positivity, because even in a 13-6 defeat, I did have some positivity. My prize pick slip hit. Yippee, Yahoo. I know you guys don't, you don't benefit from my prize pick slips winning, but I had Cole Tucker to strike out, and it hit. That's right. I had Cole Tucker to strike out, and that's about as free money as it gets. Cole Tucker strikes out, and then I also had Brett Wisely to have at least a base hit. I had over 0.5 total bases, and he had 4 because he had 2 doubles against the one and only Jose Suarez. So shout out to 2 of the worst Angels on the team, Cole Tucker and Jose Suarez, for helping my prize pick slip hit. But with all that being said, we have somehow made it. I am honestly running on like 6 hours of sleep in the past 3 days combined. I'm not even kidding. Something like that. It's been a crazy weekend. I'm exhausted. I just graduated from college, so of course I'm excited. But I'm also looking forward to starting with the next games, immediately with the next game tomorrow, being more regular. All right, it's going to be more regular. Not going to be coming on 5 minutes late. There's not going to be noise in the background. I don't even know if you can hear it, to be honest, but there's not going to be noise on the background. Going to go back to what it's been the first couple of weeks. Normal postcasts, showing up on time, not wearing graduation sashes, not being 50-50 on if I'm going to be at a ceremony or on the postcast. We are back to the regular scheduled programming tomorrow. I appreciate all of you for sticking with me, even with kind of the crazy schedule. I know I still was able to do postcasts in 2 of the 3 games, despite it being graduation weekend, so maybe I'm over-exaggerating, but I want to bring you guys the best content possible. I want it to be as consistent as possible, and it'll be like that starting tomorrow. So, with all that being said, Giants 13, Angels 6, a 9-run 4th inning, thanks to Jose Suarez and Hunter Strickland, kills the Angels. But just like this game, just like every game, I was able to break it down for you on the Locked On Angels Postcast, live on the Locked On Los Angeles YouTube channel. Halo Nation, I will see you after the next game and after every game. Thanks for all the support. I'll be back tomorrow, and so long.